friends. Welcome back to the Psychedelic Art Exchange YouTube channel. We are back with another edition of our monthly CGC auction. This one is live now until this Sunday, April 28th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. As always, we've got a lot of great pieces, as always, in the sale. But this month we have a lot of early San Francisco handbills that are really rare and really interesting. And we're going to focus mostly on those today, but we've got a few posters to talk about as well. So stay tuned and see what we got for you.
Well, welcome. And the highlights of this auction, as Katie said, are the smaller items, the handbills from 1966. This is the earliest of the San Francisco ballroom scene. In fact, this was the first piece for the Allman Ballroom and the Family Dog. This is a piece by Wes Wilson, and the poster is ridiculously hard to find. Copies come up from time to time, and sometimes they fall far below expectation. There was a copy that was recently auctioned that was at a very bargain price. So the handbills, generally, I speak to people that aren't looking to spend 20K on an image, but want to have something from the first year of the Fillmore, or the first year of the Avalon. But the FD1 in particular, I think, is really the most important piece from all of it. I mean, the BG1 is equally as important, but the whole part about Wes Wilson and his influence on the art and how he really created all of this is all apparent in the FD1. So in this handbill, in a 9-2, it's a super great piece. This piece shows up in different colors, and these thin paper handbills, again, the earliest year of the Fillmore and the Avalon, they used these for promotion, these one color, thin paper handbills. And they're super hard to find. They're perfect for starting out a collection. And yeah, I wanted to show you some of the better examples in the sale. Obviously, the FD1.
Fun fact about the FD1, we actually made our first ever video for this channel about that. So there's already a video that we did entirely about that handbill. I'll link it in the description so you can check it out. Lots more information specifically about that one, but we've got even more this time around. So moving right along.
The Avalon, the FD1, and this was the fun place to hang out in San Francisco. Not that the Fillmore wasn't, but it was much more of a big show deal at the Fillmore. This is FD4, which is and this is an uncut handbill from this. This is probably my favorite from the early pieces. It's just so. I mean, the lettering is starting to come together. It's this Heinrich Clay illustration that shows up frequently in several posters over the years. But this is, I've never sold an uncut piece like this before, and I find it pretty rare and in pretty good condition with a 9.0. Let's flip to the Fillmore. As I said, the BG1, the Peter Bailey, especially the original printing with the credit, is ridiculously rare. There was only 500 copies of that, and very few show up, and hardly any undamaged. The Batman, the BG2, is a little bit more common, but not at all. This is Wes Wilson's first piece for the Fillmore, and it sucks in that whole 1966 Batman the television show, which I grew up on. It's just, and giving away the free Minor Bird, that's also one of the treats for this piece. So yeah, the Batman, the BG2, signed by Wes Wilson. This is a piece you should look at if you're a collector of early Fillmore.
Definitely not one we see very often at all.
No. And then we're moving on to another really fabulous Wes Wilson design. This is, you can see the evolution of the lettering and Wilson's style. He was pushing the envelope, and this is really, an attractive, beautiful piece by him. Yeah, the poster's wonderful. It's an early, Jefferson airplane, and so, obviously something, if you need an early piece, this is probably the best looking of the batch.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Then the BG5 at a 9.8, which is a really high grade. It's also signed by Wes Wilson. So
also Jefferson Airplane.
And also Jefferson Airplane. I mean, the Airplane were the first act to really get out in front, you know, and get the record contract. They were a folk band, and then, you know, when everybody turned on and they started going to electric, well, the rest is history. So from the Fillmore, from San Francisco, we're going to jump to our favorite venue in the Midwest, the Grandy Ballroom, and this is an uncut handbill in a 10. I mean, you don't get a better grade than this. So this for all the customers and buyers that go for high grade, this is, you know, unchallengeable. And so yeah, I mean, Janice in Detroit was, you know, I mean, Big Brother was great, but when they showed up there, you know, this was Detroit, and this is, I think there's a great story in that Grandy Ballroom documentary about Big Brother showing up and I can't remember, you know, who was screaming at them, but, you know, it was the whole kick out the jams moment.
Right. Going back to our last video where we specifically talked about Detroit and the Grandy, Big Brother was responsible for the kick out the jams motherfucker. The origin of all that.
Great stories. Also from the Grandy, we have The Who, and The Who claimed this was their favorite venue. The Grand, it was made for The Who. It was
Didn't
loud.
They premiere Tommy there or something? Like they played something for the first time ever at the
It may be. I think that we have to fact check, but that story sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, cool early piece with The Who. Then, let's go back to California, but this time Southern California.
Los Angeles.
The Shrine. And this little piece here in 9.8 is a Pink Floyd card. Mm-hmm. The distinction between cards and handbills is often muddied.
Yeah.
It's something we ought to take up in a future discussion, but this is a card, and it's a 9.8, and it's John Van Hammersfeld and Victor Moscoso collaboration. It's a tiny piece, but it's really beautiful. But I wanted to get to this piece because this is, I think, one of the better pieces in the sale, and it's lying very low right now. It has like no bids. This is the Velvet Underground and Sly and the Family Stone at the Shrine. And it was, you know, most of the designs for the Shrine were done by John Van Hammersfeld. This was Neon Park, who was a known artist. He did a bunch of Little Feat covers, album covers and whatnot. Yeah. And it's just, this is a great piece. And I don't know why it's like hanging so low. It's the super opportunity.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, and good looking.
Yeah, it's an 8.5, great color, beautiful design.
Yeah, I see very little wrong with it. A few minor creases.
Very rare. We do not see it very often at all.
No, and we would be remiss if we closed this episode without mentioning the passing of Richard Betts. Dickey Betts, the Allman Brothers, you know, in my opinion, you know, were perhaps the top American rock blues band ever. I mean, that hooked me at a very early age. This was a very early stop. They were playing second to Hot Tuna, and I love this piece. Is Norman Orr, and allegedly this is his representation of Dwayne, but yeah, it's but anyhow, Dickey Betts just left us. He, you know, the melodies that he played with Dwayne that they put together when at their peak before all of the tragedy, the Fillmore album. I mean, it's the best live album ever, in my opinion.
Live at Fillmore East?
Yes. And so, yeah, I mean, the Allmans, they always do well in our auctions. We're kind of, the things that we're passionate about tend to sell in our auctions. So, and the Allman Brothers, again, them and the Dead and Zappa are my personal places to play, and we tend to do well with these pieces. But if you're looking for a high grade, beautiful Fillmore,
timely piece,
this is the one for the week.
and it's yeah, it's a 9.8. It's not, you know, the most common thing to see.
Well, because the Allmans have a passionate following. I mean, it really does come down to performer a lot. Yes, some of the
Sure.
art is amazing and will be ageless and timeless, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the performer that gets the collectors buying, unless they're a completist and just really trying to get the whole set. You go for the bands and the acts you like first.
Right, and this has both. It's got the bands and the art.
Yeah, and
the grade.
And the Allmans.
Hot Tuna, right? We can tie together everything.
They were just playing during the set break of Airplane shows, Jack and Yorma, and then it became the thing that's still happening. Those
right.
guys.
So we started the video with Jefferson Airplane and ended with Hot Tuna.
Perfect.
So there you go. Awesome. Well, these are all for sale. You can bid on these in our April CGC auction. Again, that is live now and will close on Sunday, April 28th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again for tuning in this week to our video blog. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Show us a little love. Tell us that you like what we're doing. And we will be back again soon. See you next time.
Thanks, folks.